Alright guys, so this is the discussion for today, which is should we be taxing the super rich or the super wealthy? And there's a Nobel Prize winner from the early 2000s that came out this week and said please, or I think it makes sense to tax people 70% if they're super wealthy, to tax their inheritance. And the way that I got introduced to this topic was a few days ago. So we're on 24, and on the 18th, there was this article that came out, Davos 2023, and this lady, she's the heiress or the lady that inherited Disney, and they're basically saying we're super rich, we can help poor people, and please tax us more money. Ask more and larger percentages, and this article will basically look at that. So if you want to read that, that's it. But the main one for today is this guy, Joseph Stiglitz, and I looked at him, American economist. One of those nice difficult words because everyone wants to say economist, economist, and not the biggest specialist in economics, Keynesian economist or economist. And yeah, that's it. So he talks about taxing people 70%. Now he was on this podcast. That's a 28-minute episode. British English, and he's American. Two interviewers are from Britain. He's from America, so if you want to listen to that, please do. But basically, he's just saying here, let's tax them 70%. And if we look at the tax brackets, if you're making £150,000 or more, you're only paying 45% tax in the UK. If you're making over $500,000, you're paying 37%. So it brings up an interesting argument. Should we have different tax brackets? So if you're making more than 50 million, you make this. You know, basically it's a very interesting discussion on how should we update our tax systems. Here he says something like 2% tax on inheritance over 50 million and 3% tax on inheritance over 1 billion. Says again, very reasonable, thinks it's fair. So my conversation with you is how should we update the tax system to, you know, to avoid this widening inequality, because the thing that I read a lot is that during COVID, the rich have become much more rich and the poor have become much more poor. And they say that there's this widening inequality. Now, one of my other favorite websites for individual word translation is Pons. I don't work with them, but they're just very cool. So they'll give you a very cool translation with that. You can.
Inequality.
So there's two different pronunciations if you want to listen to that. So yeah, that's the discussion. Come to the class, tell me, what do you think? How should we be taxing the rich? Should we be taxing the poor less? And just what's your general feeling? You know, maybe we shouldn't be paying or asking anybody to pay more or less tax. Maybe the system that was figured out is the most fair. And yeah, that's basically the discussion for the week.